Are you a fan of House of the Dragon? Season 2 won't return to HBO until 2024. Critics and viewers alike praise the Game of Thrones prequel spin-off for depicting Daenerys Targaryen's ancestors. So what do you think the second season will bring? Today I will discuss 5 theories and predictions for the second season, as well as how the genius House of the Dragon theory argues that the Dance of the Dragons is merely a series of breakups. Keep watching to find it all out. Firstly, how is House of the Dragon full of symbolism? One idea indicates that the House of the Dragon has been marrying Alicent and Rhaenyra during the first season. Highborn females from famous houses, Alicent Hightower and Rhaenyra Targaryen, are expected to obtain good alliances and generate progeny to promote their dynasty. But unfortunately, Alicent and Rhaenyra aren't cut from the same privileged cloth. Alicent can only marry into power, while Rhaenyra is born into it, which creates their rift and the Dance of the Dragon civil war. Like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon has hidden symbolism. One TikTok user notes that Alicent and Rhaenyra execute partial weddings based on imaginary faiths in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire universe, given that Miguel Sapochnik, the executive producer and showrunner Millie Alcock as the young Rhaenyra and Emily Carey as the young Alicent were all aware of and participating in Alicent and Rhaenyra's romantic subtext. The wedding scenario acquires credence. It adds an exciting element to their rivalry. In Season 1, Alicent and Rhaenyra marry 3 times. Up next, what's cloak? How is it used in House of the Dragon? As part of the wedding rite in the Faith of the Seven, the groom cloaks his bride by taking off her cloak of protection, a symbol of her house, and putting on his own, a sign of his oath to protect her no matter the cost. Throughout Westeros, most people adhere to the Faith of the Seven, whose temple is called the Sept, and whose priests and priestesses honor the 7 faces of the Godhead as Father, Mother, Maiden, Crone, Smith, Warrior, and Stranger. The Great Sept of Baelor has played host to numerous ceremonies, including the Golden Wedding between Sansa Stark and Tyrion Lannister, and the Purple Wedding between Cersei and Joffrey Baratheon. In the HBO series Game of Thrones, Joffrey Baratheon and Margaery Tyrell. In House of the Dragon Season 1, Alicent and Rhaenyra each place a cloak over the other's shoulders twice. Once in Episode 1, The Heirs of the Dragon, when Alicent helps Rhaenyra prepare for her swearing ceremony, and again in deleted scene images when Rhaenyra helps Alicent prepare for her wedding. Alicent and Rhaenyra's Faith of the 7 weddings shows the girls' protectiveness for each other. Best friends facing growing pains are comforted by each other's unconditional love, as symbolized by the traditional cloaking ceremony. Keep watching. We wouldn't want you to miss out on any of the content we have lined up. We're about to fill you in on everything you need to know about how the House of the Dragon is changing the performance of rituals, and a few rituals, and how they're different now. So don't go anywhere. So, what does the Old Gods wedding ceremony indicate? While the Faith of the Seven has septs and an organized congregation, the Old Gods worship in a godswood, with the weirwood tree bearing testimony to prayers and vows. The Old Gods wedding ritual is shorter and not always led by a priest of septon. The bride and groom clasp hands, wear white cloth, and say, "I am yours and you are mine." Robb Stark and Talisa Myger were married under godswood before the Red Wedding. Sansa Stark and Ramsay Bolton's Black Wedding was held under a weirwood tree. In a sequence from the second episode of House of the Dragon that was cut, the Rogue Prince, Rhaenyra confronts Alicent over her wedding to the king. In Episode 4, King of the Narrow Seas, Alicent challenges Rhaenyra's virtue. Both sequences are made up of the girls walking toward each other, waiting by the weirwood tree, then a fight, and later there is a reconciliation when they pledge to tell each other the truth. Alicent and Rhaenyra's disputes come from dishonesty and unfaithfulness, with the Old Gods aware. Alicent and Rhaenyra's Old Gods wedding ceremony flaunts their collapsing relationship in front of a weeping heart tree. Up next, here's how House of the Dragon changes the performing of rituals. Even in A Song of Ice and Fire, little is known about traditional Valyrian weddings, other than they involve House Targaryen's house words, fire and blood. Rhaenyra and her uncle Prince Daemon Targaryen conduct the ceremonies in House of the Dragon Episode 7, Driftmark. First, Rhaenyra and Daemon ceremonially cut one another's lips and palms with dragon glass. Then they drink from a cup and mark each other's foreheads with Valyrian symbols for fire and blood before enjoying a blood-filled kiss. Olivia Cook as Alicent and Emma Darcy as Rhaenyra also married during Lena Valerian's funeral night in Driftmark. Driftmark. Alicent steals Viserys' cat's paw dagger when her son Aemon loses an eye to Rhaenyra's son Lucerys Velaryon. Alicent pulls a Velaryon steel knife from a fire pit to cut Rhaenyra's arm. Alicent and Rhaenyra's final wedding encapsulates fire and blood, with the Targaryens' Velaryon dagger heirloom burning and Rhaenyra's blood spilling on the floor. House Targaryen's words simplify and ruthlessly denote Rhaenyra and Daemon's wild passion. It's similar to Alicent and Rhaenyra's firefight in Driftmark, which exudes royal family instability. With Alicent and Rhaenyra's disagreement turning violent, their incomplete conventional Velaryon wedding generates a harmful passion, worthy of House Targaryen's stereotype of restless dragons. So, what role do the unfinished marriages of Alicent and Rhaenyra have in the sad nature of their feud? House of the Dragon Season 1 showrunners chose Alicent and Rhaenyra's locations for significance. Although there's no proof the wedding similarities were deliberate, they're too precise to be a coincidence. This House of the Dragon idea intensifies Alicent and Rhaenyra's quarrel by turning them from sister-like pals to devastating lovers. Alicent and Rhaenyra's years-long strife reveals their unrequited romantic sorrow for each other, like Robert Baratheon's for Lyanna Stark in Game of Thrones, because rage is passion and love fused into hate. From the faith of the Seven authenticating their tie to the old gods and exposing their dishonesty to traditional Velaryon fueling their ire, Alicent and Rhaenyra's covert relationship made the Dance of the Dragons a spiteful massacre of love that ultimately killed them all. So guys, now we move to the next part of the video, which is about the top predictions and theories for House of the Dragon Season 2. Sounds exciting, right? So let's have a look at them. The Greens will combat the Blacks as dragons clash, and Westeros burns in the Dance of the Dragons. House of the Dragon Season 2 predictions include new characters and plot lines. Next, we have Blood and Cheese. The death of Rhaenyra Targaryen at the end of House of the Dragon is a terrible blow to her allies. Unfortunately, we shall see Daemon Targaryen exact his vengeance in Season 2 through two infamous characters, Blood and Cheese, who will be responsible for a lot of carnage following that death. Additionally, fans have remarked that Henry Cavill would be an excellent choice for the role of Hugh Hammer in House of the Dragon, even if he has not been officially cast in the film. Dragon seeds or Targaryen bastards like him rise to prominence in the conflict on the backs of their winged mounts. Vermithor is Hammer's mount and Westeros' second largest dragon after Vhagar. On top of this, in the Season 1 conclusion of House of the Dragon, Rhaenys Velaryon makes up her mind and tells Rhaenyra Targaryen that she and her dragon Meleys will be patrolling the Gullet from now on. The result of the war depends on who controls this narrow water channel leading to Blackwater Bay and King's Landing. Thus, Season 2 is most likely to be when we finally see the Battle of the Gullet. And in the return of Sir Harold Westerling, Scottish actor Graham McTavish, Outlander, The Hobbit, plays Sir Harold Westerling, who has a more significant part in the TV adaptation of House of the Dragon than he had in the novel. After the Green Coup in Episode 8, this honorable knight resigned as Lord Commander of the King's Guard, earning him the esteem of viewers. Would it be possible for him to make a Season 2 appearance and aid the Blacks? And lastly, we have Alice Rivers. There is a widespread belief that Alice Rivers is Lord Lionel Strong's daughter by an unwed mistress. She has the same ability to see visions in flames as Melisandre does in Game of Thrones. Alice resides in Harrenhal during the events of the Dance of Dragons, and it is there that she finally crosses paths with Aemon Targaryen. Fans have suggested that Rebecca Ferguson, who appeared in the movie Dune, could be an excellent choice to play this character. And this takes us to the end of the video. Any thoughts on what the upcoming season of House of the Dragon might bring? Let's see who comes up with the most intriguing ideas in the comment section, so please feel free to share. And guys, subscribe to the channel now if you haven't already to keep informed and amused. Many thanks for viewing. Goodbye.